afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to PBTV. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. This is another Instagram request. We have covered this before in a sort of brand video, but lightly touched on it. So we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into the G&G SMC9. These have been out for a while. They are back with us. A few people have been jumping on that over the weekend. But if you've got any questions on this whatsoever, please drop them down below and we'll cover it as quickly as we can. As normal, we'll go front to back and just discuss how awesome this thing is and where it sort of sits in Airsoft. Is it a pistol? Is it an SMG? Is it a primary? It pretty much does everything, and these things will run indoors, outdoors as well. They're not just a CQB platform. You can definitely run these outside. So, first things first, as always, the front end is a 40mm counterclockwise thread, so all your standard accessories will fit. Just be aware that the hop-up on this is actually through the flash hider here. So I have got a spare grip out here. In the bottom of the grip that sits on the back, there is a little button here. Pressing that removes the key. This little key is how you turn it. It's not essential that you use these, but again, it's just the easiest way to do it, and then make sure they are safe in there. So you do get two keys. You get one inside the grip that's fitted, and then you get one in the spare, slightly different size grip. But again, in there, you're rotating the sleeve that's in the outer barrel. Slightly weird way of doing it, but it's just the way that they've built the system around it. Again, if you are going to then take the flash hider off and then put a Spitfire or anything on there, please just be aware that make sure your hop is set beforehand. You don't have to be unscrewing it, setting your hop and putting it back on. One good point about this type of hop, it is very, very stable. So once it is set, there's very little, if any, reason to have to adjust it again. So even if you're running up at 2.5s, 2.8s, take any attachment that you got off, adjust it, make sure they're flying straight, and then put your tracer unit or anything that you have on there. But yeah, really, really cool front end. Coming back to the sort of rail system and the optics, it is not a monolithic sort of single piece. There is a slight gap here, so it's not all one piece, but it is M-LOK and RIS, so we have M-LOK on the right, bottom and left, and then we have 20mm RIS across the top. Again, you're going to need some adapters. Reaper with our first question. Very nice. What's she made of? So there is multiple different things of materials here. So the rail system, aluminium. The upper receiver section here, I believe, is CNC'd Ali as well. The actual separate lower receiver, so what would be the lower half of the pistol variant, is polymer. The mag's metal. The stock is aluminium, rubber butt pad, but any of the controls, ancillaries, pins and everything that are going through the stock are steel and very well made. So where they've been able to save weight using aluminium and everything like that, they have done, but they've not used it everywhere. Any of the sort of metal-on-metal parts have been made out of steel, like the Allen keys and everything like that. Pixel Princess, is it GBB or AEG? This is a gas blowback platform, so it is based on the GTP9 pistol that G&G brought out a while ago, and a lot of people thought this was going to be a conversion kit. It is not a conversion kit. It is actually a standalone platform, and the actual low receiver is the only bit that's similar. The magazines themselves, so as you can see, gas blowback feed lips on the top. It comes with the 50-round magazine. If you have a GTP9 already, or you wanted to run shorter mags, the 23 round, the short ones do fit, and when they are in, they will fit flush to the bottom of here. So it does come with the 50 round, but the GTP9 23 rounds do fit. So with it being gas blowback, you will have to slide that first round in there, and again, it is empty, so it is going to bolt lock back. With it being a sort of pistol-style gas blowback system, I'd stick to that V6, V8 gas, so you're going to get sort of 320 to 340 out of it. These originally had a slight problem with the US version being a little bit too spicy, but the EU versions now are perfectly fine and can be run pretty much all year round. The G&G system with the nozzle and everything like that was an anti-freeze system. They made a corkscrew-style system to help with freezing. How many sling points? Good question. because some of them are covered. You might not be able to see one on this side, but this bit here is actually a magnet. So if you take that off and swap it to this side, you will then cover the QD sling point that is on this side. But folding the stock, it is actually a magnet one. So this is how it holds together, meaning you can just rapidly deploy it out. This thing is as ambidextrous, if not overly ambidextrous, when it comes to airsoft. So you do have the charging handle on both sides. As you can see, the ejection port has come up. You can swap it so that this one stays down, the other side comes up, and again, with this, you could take this off, put it on this side, and have a QD sling point there. So there's one there, one on the left-hand side. There's a large hoop sling point at the back here. Again, this could be swapped out onto that side. The bar would be swapped over completely. And again, with the rail system and M-lock, you could quite easily attach any other style of sling point that you wanted. On the top, with the 20mm rail on the top, you've got plenty of space for accessories, but it comes with the standard flick up, flip down, so there's no buttons or anything like that. It is simply grab. The front one does have a little pinch point, so you can throw them up, and the back one is simply grab and pull. Peephole at the back, pin at the front. Again, it's iron sights. How useful they're going to be on airsoft, it's very, very questionable. Kevin asking what the FPS is. With it being a gas blowback, it's very, very hard for us to give an exact figure, but the original ones were a little bit spicy. The American ones that originally came in a few years back were a little bit too much. This is the EU version, and this is the only version we have now. So once they are set, usually with the V6, V8, they're sitting around that 330-ish mark. Again, it's gas blowback, so depending on the gas you use and the temperature on the day, running this in the cold, it's going to drop. Running it in the middle of summer, it's going to be slightly higher. So when you go and chrono, just make sure you do it every single time and you stick to what is right for your platform at the temperature you're going to do it at. I'd probably recommend 2/8 with this. With it being a gas blowback, you're going to probably get best performance out of 2/8 and stick to that V6, V8, and you're going to have some good consistency with it. Is there a drum mag going to be made available from this for G&G? We don't have any more information on it, but on the box there is a picture of one. That's all we can really say. So we do presume at some point there will be one because they've made a picture of it. But apart from that, we have no other information of when it's coming. But if they've made a picture of it, we presume that at some point there will be one. Currently, you have the 50 round mag that comes with it, and then you have the 23 short rounds. So again, if you wanted to run this as a primary, again, you've got 50 rounders. Plenty of ammo in that for sort of CQB and outdoors, but if you wanted to run this as a sidearm, keep it folded, drop it on a sling, sniper back up, just put the 23 rounds in this. The rate of fire with this thing full auto is absolutely awesome, so it's just a little quick deploy panic button that is really, really useful. And again, it's got that range and output that your sniper goes dry, you just want something else, it can still stand on its own if you have to go into a building. Shane on YouTube, would you class it as a primary over a sidearm? As an SMG, yes. I probably would never count this as a sidearm. I wouldn't want to run around with this and an M4 or something where this is rarely going to get used. I'd use this as a backup to a sniper, sort of an engagement range backup, because it's going to get quite a bit of use. Having this as instead of a pistol, there's a lot of weight behind it. It is 1.5 kilos. Unloaded, and then you've got to think if you want any spare mags, that's going to add to it. This running around as a primary, absolutely, you could run this on its own. You could even then run the GTP9 as a pistol backup in case this just goes dry, because worst case scenario, having compatible mags that are with your primary and your secondary is a bit of a Brucey bonus. So, for example, you're running 4 or 5 50 round mags, you go dry, you draw your pistol, you put it away. After a certain or a long firefight, your 50 round mags go dry and there's players coming in on you. You could simply drop the mag out of your pistol and put it back in this just to keep that range and keep your primary up. It's a sort of admin part of the game, but having compatible mags between a sidearm and this being your primary is a really, really, really cool feature. So, a couple of things on controls, but we've got a question. I believe there are not many aftermarket eternal upgrades for it. Would this be a viable option over the AAP01? So, There's no aftermarket upgrades for this because it's perfectly fine as it is. The aftermarket parts and stuff for the AAP are to turn it into other things. So the AAP is an absolutely fantastic platform, but it is just a pistol. This is obviously a standalone SMG. Brilliant hop system, brilliant nozzle and firing system, great hop, great barrel. You've got a 6.03 in this, so it's going to be accurate, it's going to be consistent, it's going to be awesome. Already has the stock and everything. Whereas the AAP is built as a secondary, as a pistol. Very consistent, amazing, but you've got to get all them extra bits to turn it into something vaguely like this. Again, you could quite easily turn the AAP9 to something very similar to this, but I think the feel and sort of initial construction of this, I probably prefer with the rail system, it being built as is, so it's built for purpose rather than being sort of turned into purpose, if that makes sense. But you are right, this thing is as is out the box, and there's very little, if anything, you can do to it. But controls-wise, so we have just above the trigger, that is where your safety is, and then just below the trigger is where the mag release is. Racking it back, you can see the bolt coming back and holding open. Just above there is the bolt forward, and you have a matching one on the right hand side. This button here, pushing it the way that it is now, is semi. Pushing it towards you is full auto. So the fire select is the only one that is not sort of convenient to get to on the fly. So again, with this, I'd probably stick to semi-auto. With it being gas, removing cooldown as a situation, having to flick this to full auto is a predetermined thing before you come out of a building. You know what's going to be around the corner. Apart from that, the trigger response from it and the sort of ancillaries you're going to get from it are great just on semi-auto. But yeah, Shane, would you choose the SMC9 over an MP7 GBB for CQB Monster? It depends really, because personally, I'm growing on this over the MP7 GBB. If I was going to pick, this might be a little bit controversial, if I was going to pick an MP7, I'd take the AEG version. Purely because I know it's going to be a primary. I've run one for a while. The consistency is absolutely amazing. Whereas with this, your recoil's not as much, so your bounce off target is a little bit less. 50 rounds... it's a very, very close call, but I think looks-wise, I would end up going with this because it's slightly different. I prefer the stock, and I think that's probably the one thing that's teetering me over to this. I'm not overly a fan of very, very thin skeletal stocks like with the MP9, the MP7, etc. This has something you can get a really good cheek weld on. It's set in its place. It's not going to disappear if you accidentally press the button, disappear and slide away. The only way to move this out of the way is with a physical button, so it's a much sturdier in-your-shoulder platform. Don't get me wrong, the MP7 is absolutely incredible, but if I was going to pick the MP7, I'd go for the AEG one. But this, I mean, look at it. It is. I'm very much sci-fi, so this is far more sci-fi and very much laser blaster. So very, very cool. But yeah, absolutely loving this thing. It's got the M-lock. It's got that futuristic vibe. It is more ambidextrous that you can possibly imagine. Even the shell ejecting door is different. You've got that 40mm counterclockwise thread on the front for your accessories. Again, just a reminder, the hop is adjusted through the front, so before you put anything on, make sure it is set. People were asking about the sling points earlier, and I did mention the QD point. There is a QD sling mount included, along with a speed loader that has the specific and very, very useful adapter to make it easier to load these. One thing I will say with the mags though, when you pull this all the way down, you can lock the follower to the bottom. Do not press that unless there's BBs in there, because if it does jettison up on its own, you can either damage the follower or the feed lips because you're just spring loading a follower into the top of it, so you can cause damage. So when you are pressing that all the way down, locking it, make sure it is full of BBs before you release it, and you will be good to go. But if there's no final questions, this has been the SMC9 from G&G. Really, really cool bit of kit. Very, very happy that these are back. I know a few people that have got these, absolutely love them, and once these are tricked out with an optic, an attachment, grips and things like that, they do look incredibly cool. As a primary, being only 1.5 kilos, again, very, very light, a little bit too heavy to be a secondary or a sidearm, but as a primary, these are very, very cool. And then if you want as a sniper backup, you've either got the choice of the 50 or the 23 round magazines. So, very, very cool. Love answering all the questions. Great to see loads of people in here, but that will be it for today. We'll be back on Wednesday. As always, if you have something you want us to touch on, something you've not seen us do a deep dive in, drop us a message on Instagram. If not, check these out online or hit the top of the page where the big red button is and check out that muzzle flash sale. There's really cool stuff in there at the moment. But if that's everything for now, I'll see you in a bit. Bye.